This is a letter to open letter to my democratically minded friends. Those friends of mine who are really uh, enthusiastic, hysterical, almost religious about democracy. This is for those folks. My friends, I had a sister. Well, unfortunately, I still have that sister. Unfortunately, I had a sister in which who I lived in the same house for 20 years. I mean, she was there when I was born. She was 13 years old, and she left supposedly. Unfortunately, she really didn't leave it, but she supposedly left the house when she was like 31 or 32 or somewhere around there. So I had the displeasure of being under the same roof with my sister for 20 years, 19, 20 years. She was there when I was born, and she left when I was 19, 20. And it was an unfortunate accident of birth, being born under the same roof with this woman. But the thing is, I can tell you for sure that at the age 20, when my sister left the house, I knew maybe 50-60% of what my sister was. 50-60% of who she was. What was she about? What was at the core? What was at the core of my sister's being? What was her essence? Within that 20 years, I maybe understood 60% of her essence. And since then, she's 60, 65, whatever age she is right now. I know about 80%, 85% of what she is, what is inside that package, what shit is inside that package. This is after living with her for 20 years and, with a distance, keeping an eye on her with a distance, half an eye, maybe one eye on her. It was too much keeping both eyes on her. So keeping one eye on her from a distance, this is what I got. That who she was. I know I can say for certain. I know who she is. 85% of what she is, who she is. I still, don't know 15%. I'm sure her husband is the same way. Probably he knows 90% of what she really is. My father, unfortunately, he never really joined the family. He was there. He didn't leave the family, but he rather not be there. So I'm sure my father knew maybe 70% of what she is, 60% of what she is. Because he was really not interested to really, know his family. So what I'm trying to say here, salute. What I'm trying to say here is that you really, after spending years with a person, you barely have a clue of who a person is, from my personal experience. In a democracy, people supposedly vote for what a person is, or what he has in mind, or what he believes in. I'm telling you, after 20, 30, 50, 60 years, you still don't know the motherfucker you're standing in front of, deep inside, what they really are. How is it that a common man, this is the practice of democracy as it is being practiced in 2023, 2022. The practice is you see the person, maybe it's an old politician who you have seen on TV maybe 50 times for your whole life, but every time it has been a couple of second clip of that person. Nobody really has kept, any records of, his private life, his private thoughts. I mean, Nixon made the mistake of installing those cassette tapes, recording business, recording everything in the White House. He thought it was his private library. He treated the White House as a private library, and we just got a glimpse of what this motherfucker was about behind closed doors. A glimpse of the inner workings of Nixon. And I have a feeling the rest are worse than Nixon. Behind closed doors in their personalities, they're worse than with Nixon. It's just that, evidence is either covered up, witnesses are disposed of, Epstein, or people are bribed off and paid off, and that's another thing, that it's this Trump prosecution is such a it's basically I think it's the beginning of the end. Not that I'm in favor of Mr. T, but the problem is they have opened that door. Up to now, behind closed door, whoever it was, whatever they did at the higher echelons of the society, everybody covered it up. And now, not only they are showing their underwear, but they're trying to prosecute the underwear. I'm sure when the shoe is on the other foot, the other side will decide to prosecute, a few, with their underwear exposed on this side, and oh shit. My point is this, that in this system of government that you call democracy, you really don't know who you're voting for, what you're voting for. A lot of times these supposedly democratic leaders come in, they actually say, they're on record saying that they do something, but once they end up in the office, they do the opposite, the exact 180. It's sort of like, what can you do? Because, the election is over. Especially these presidential form of democracies are something else, because you literally can go in with promising A, but once you're in, you can deliver B for 4 years, 5 years, whatever the term of that democratically elected leader is, and nobody can do anything about it. At least in the parliamentary system, the moment Mr. Jackass promises A and delivers B, that the very next day or a week later, you can, pull him down. Somebody else can go in. Again, the system will not change. They probably will keep A, B most of the time. But there's a big chance, at least in the parliamentary system, that, nobody can promise A and deliver B, because that would be their end of line. In this presidential system, it's just, you can promise A and deliver B for 4 years and nobody can touch you. Not a scratch. Anyway, my point is this. Especially in the presidential system of democracy, all you have to do is sell the package. It could be shit inside. It could be a transgender, homosexual, bisexual from Brazil. in the package. It doesn't matter. You're selling the package in these democracies. It's not about what's inside. It's inside. You know, they try, most of the time they try to cover up what really is inside. Nixon got burned because he he recorded what's going on inside. Just for that he got burned so bad. Because nobody's supposed to know what's on the inside. Because then democracy doesn't work. Because then nobody's a saint. Nobody can be elected. Or people who can be elected are not favored by the rich because the rich don't have anything on them. I mean, I have a feeling, here's the thing. Now, I don't know this. I'm purely making this up, just fictitious. Just making this story up. Imagine this. Two bisexual conservative millionaires, two of them, are in an apartment in somewhere in a very wealthy, very luxurious apartment sitting in for example, New York City. And they just had their fun with this, let's say, some Brazilian homosexual, bisexual, transgender drag queen. They just had their fun with her. And this drag queen had just, became a citizen in the United States. And these two conservative billionaires just had their triplet with him, and they had their fun with him. And while this Brazilian fellow is in the shower taking a bath after the fun, one conservative millionaire turns the other conservative millionaire, his beer buddy, and tells him, I bet we can make that bitch a representative in the House. And the other guy says, how much? He said, $1 million. I bet you $1 million we can make that bitch a representative in the House of Representatives. And I have a feeling the other billionaire looked at him and said, you got a deal. So they shake on it, and this guy goes, the first guy who started the whole process, goes and spends $700,000 on this, on making that Brazilian newly citizen minted Brazilian as a candidate, a viable candidate, and he starts selling. What is he selling? He's not selling, I'm a bisexual drag queen from Brazil. He's selling a package. They make a package for this fellow. Nobody knows what the fuck is underneath. They make a package and they sell the package. And then you're wondering why this package kept changing colors like a chameleon. When the package is sitting, between some Jewish folks, the package states that his great-grandparents were from Holocaust, or grandparents were forced to participate in the Holocaust. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, so what is this? What is this behavior? This behavior is a salesmanship. It's a salesmanship. So this democracy is the idea of you get a package. Now you have your package in a regular capitalist system. Your package can't speak for itself. So when I used to sell cars, I used to speak for the car as a salesman. Hey, this car is this. Now imagine democracy. You're taking capitalism, consumerism. You're making that into a political system. That's what democracy has turned out to be. It's a sales pitch. The same way you sell a fucking Ford, you can sell Mr. George Santos. The same way. It's sort of like, except that in this case, the package can speak for itself. So, it speaks for itself. So, as a good salesman, everywhere he or she goes, can, he makes up stories about himself, because that's what we do as salespeople. This is what we do. We make up stories. Almost every customer I sold a car to, I told them I own the same car or very similar car to that you're buying. It's great, it's the best. All salespeople do this. In order to find common ground with the customer, you have to act and behave similarly. That's how you find common ground with the customer. Act and behave in a way they understand. Make statements in order for the customer to identify with you. Therefore, the customer would trust you. Therefore, the customer would buy a black, Mustang, with a black on black Mustang, black paint on black leather Mustang in the middle of fucking Arizona desert. That's how you sell that vehicle. You just behave in a way that the customer identifies with you. Well, no wonder that in this capitalist system, in this democracy, which is if you make capitalism or capitalism, you make it into a political system. I know it's a form of economy, but if you imagine democracy is the political form of capitalism, in which the winner is the one who sells himself better. It acts and behaves and says stuff that more people can relate with. So every time you're getting a great salesman in a democracy. Yeah, every time you're getting a great salesman, which himself is a package. You don't see the inside. You don't know what the fuck is inside. You haven't spent 20 years, 30 years, 40 years living with the motherfucker. You don't know what's inside. What you're voting for is the package. And in presidential system, in which once you buy the fucking package, you can't take it back the next day, like at least in the parliamentary system. You get the package, you hold it for a few days, you don't like it, you turn it back. Liz Truss recently is an attestment of that. She was a package that, nobody knew what the fuck is inside, and once they got it, they found it's shit inside. So, they revoked her leadership in a matter of 2 weeks. But the point is this: first of all, that's democracy for you. You every time they give you a fucking package, the package sells itself, but you don't know what's inside, because people have been bought, paid off, criminal history expunged, certain were, eliminated. Unfortunately, everything has been washed, suppressed. Bad news. That we're all human. We all have bad shit inside the package. Everybody does. So, but the point is this, that these specific people, when they want to package themselves to be elected into democratic election into office, they basically go on a cleanup spree. So the package that present is very clean. And that's expected. That's the norm. So they sell you, and so Mr. George Santos goes everywhere and is a chameleon, because I'm sure he's a good salesman. He basically pitches himself as every man for everyone. It pitches himself as exactly who he's surrounded with. Just because he's a good salesman, he understands the way to identify, the way for people to identify with you, to vote for you, is if they can identify with you. If they have a beer with you, if you're charming enough, if you're a good fucking salesman. And he's sold that bitch real well. So what are you getting? I mean, is this democracy in which the package is what you're voting for? The package is what you're sold, and the package is what you buy and what you vote for. But do you know what's inside? Have you been around this man or woman for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years to know what they really think? Not what they say, what they really think, or what they're really going to do. You don't know that. So what are we doing with this democracy that say, okay, come and vote for the package. It's got a nice shiny package. Come and vote for the package. But what's inside, who knows? No one knows. You have to take it at faith. And even the package, there are so many bad smells. That's the funny turn. So many bad smells are coming out of that fucking package that, have you noticed that during the election time, most people, in the last at least 50 years, most people have said that, oh, yeah, the election, I had to hold my nose and vote for this or that. I had to hold my nose. This is a saying. It's sort of like both the candidate was shit. There was awful smells coming from inside that package. Therefore, I had to hold my nose and vote for one. Really? So in 350 million population of, let's say, for example, United States, you can't find a package that doesn't have so much bad smells coming from inside that people have to hold their nose and vote for it. Even the inside is so shit, although they try to cover up everything and clean up everything, but inside the package is so shit that although you don't know what's inside, but the smell is killing you, so you have to hold your nose and still vote for it. Oh, yeah, there's the democracy. So my point is this: so we know nobody understands it. Nobody has spent a lifetime with a person. They can't know really what the person is all about. They vote for a nice shiny package. Sometimes the package plays saxophone. They vote for the shiny package, and then the shiny package goes to the office, and what you see is nothing has changed. Bureaucracy does what bureaucracy does. Mrs. Victoria Nolan does what Miss Victoria Nolan does, no matter who's the boss, supposedly the boss. Who the fuck is inside the package? What is the package? Doesn't matter. The bureaucrats, they stay on and do their thing. And the problem with the bureaucrats is that they are a slave to getting it done, but they are not really destination-oriented people. Bureaucrats are not destination-oriented people. They are all about managing how to get there. They don't know where they're going. Most of the time, they don't care where they're going. Bureaucrats, and they're detail-oriented, like to sit behind the desk and for hours and hours correct the fucking spelling of a memo or whatever. That's who a bureaucrat is. It's all about the means and how, but not about why. Why are we going this way? What is the end of it? That's not what the bureaucrats do. But so you have this amazing bureaucracy in place, vast, amazing bureaucracy who get things done real good, very good in details. But then if you put a crazy guy at the top, let's say Germany, with this last guy, 50, 80 years ago, if you put a crazy guy at the top, somehow the crazy guy ends up at the top because he was, it was a package. The package was all nice and shiny. A lot of good stuff was the package said. So people voted for this package. But then when the package arrived, it was a big dildo in it. That was basically told people to go fuck themselves. So Mr. Hitler comes to power. For example, he was elected democratically because the package was sold well. My point is, but then the Germans, with all their bureaucracy, this whole machine, well-oiled machine of Germany, and you got the crazy guy in charge and started shooting, going and finding the means of performing to the exact specification that the clown was issuing. The clown was issuing commands, and this well-oiled bureaucratic industrial machine was going nowhere. What was the point? Let's say you grabbed hold of the whole of Europe. What how you're gonna hold on to it? Let's say you conquered it. How the fuck you're gonna hold on to it? Anyway, unless it's a cooperation of the willing, you can't control a vast area of that size. One race, one group, one nation controlling that vast area. It's going to eventually, even that would have led to a federal system, which pretty much resembles what the EU has turned out to be, without war. My point is this: the system is built, bureaucracies are built. Mrs. Nolan is very good at her job, which is getting it done, but does she know where the fuck this thing is going? No, she's a bureaucrat. She knows how to get there, but she doesn't know why she's going there. Destination is not in her agenda. Who picks the destination? If it's a good president, if it's an intelligent leader, president, leader. If it's an intelligent leader, if it's a leader with 2-3 PhDs, is not going to lead there. If it's a president which, forget about PhDs, it's at least he's human inside. Let's put it that way. Let's assume they're all human, but let's say it's the president who's the leader, who's a humanitarian on the inside. A lot like Mr. Carter. A lot like Mr. Trump. No, what do you say about Trump? You can say a lot of things about Trump, but what you can't say is that he killed people. He ordered the killing of people. He's not just that kind of guy. He will pull your pants down. He will give you a wedgie. He will rob you in a deal, but he doesn't order your kill. You see what I'm saying? So I at least we know that much for the guy. He didn't start a war within 4 years that he was the leader. At least you can tell the motherfucker is human inside. He didn't start a war and he didn't instigate a war. As long as he was there, the Russians and the Ukrainians were standing aside. The Ukrainian guy Zelensky came to White House and he was sitting in the corner. He was looking bad, and Trump was not even looking at him because he doesn't want to perpetuate a killing field. He's not a murderer. So my point is this, but the problem is that this democracy is you're getting a package. Let's let the common man elect the leader. I don't agree with that. I don't think this basic understanding of democracy, this is the most basic fundamental aspect of the democracy, is that let the common man come together and vote to choose a leader. I think this is just wrong. I'm sorry, but the more I think about it, when are you comfortable giving the common man to do anything? When is it? When are you comfortable to letting common man to do anything? If you want to fix your fucking pipes, if you got a clogged pipe, you call not a common man from the street who might be, might know shit or might not. Probably not. But you call a specialist, a plumber. You don't call a common man off the street to fix even your plumbing. How is it that the common man and you're thinking that if you're thinking that a collection of common men would, make the right choice? No, they won't. Collection of common man is a riot. Collection of common man is a fucking barn. So the whole idea that any common man off the street should be allowed a vote, one man, one vote, what, just being a man is enough? Okay, retarded people. Let's, exaggerate the matter. Let's go to the end of it. Do retarded people have the right to vote? Who are retarded people? Retarded people are people whose IQ is a few points lower than yours and mine. Just a few. 10 or 20. But still, he can walk, he can talk, but he's not really there. So can a retarded person vote? Society says yes, one man, one vote. If it's a man, walks on two legs and talks, has the right to vote. Okay. Does the retarded person know what he's voting for, what he or she is voting for, who he or she is voting for? Forget about spending time with the 20 years, 30 years, time with the candidate to know his inner working. Does the retarded person even comprehend what could be in the mind of that candidate? Even comprehend? No, the retarded person knows water, food, how are you, sit down, tired, sleep, bathroom. That's about it. If that much. But yet the retarded person, there is no hindrance, there is no law, there is nothing about letting the retarded person vote. Yes, if it's a man, has the right to vote. Okay. That retarded person can vote. Bring IQ point higher a little. IQ 90, 80. They have the right to vote too. If the retarded with IQ of 70 has the right to vote, 80 has the right to vote, 90 has the right to vote. How much more did these folks understand relative to that? How much more they understand relative to that retarded guy? Somewhat more, but not a whole lot. Especially not with regards to what's inside that package that they don't show us. If the retarded person can't guess what's in the package, the guy with the 90 IQ can't tell, the guy with the 100 IQ can't tell, the guy with 120 IQ can't tell what's inside the package. Well, when you raise the IQ at higher levels, they probably can guess what's inside that package from the smell. But so what is it? You're giving people, common man, who have no clue, the right to choose the package of a product that they don't know what's inside. People with no clue, with half a brain, obtain the right to choose a leader, not because it's impossible to know what's inside the package, so to choose a leader based on its packaging. And you're telling me this system is better than the Chinese system? They're, 5, 7, 9, whatever, really intellectuals with years of experience and education and the way they talk and the way they carry themselves and the way they speak and the way they put a sentence together, all elegance, all understanding, all, presence. But then you get the cowboy in a democracy, or any of the British prime ministers, one more clownish than the other. All a shell, all a package, a shell, shiny shell, attractive shell, funny shell. Mr. Johnson, funny, comedic package. Boris Johnson. Oh, very comedic, very charming. Let's vote for him. He looks like a charming man. He looks like somebody I'd like to have beer with. No, I'm sorry, but the more I watch, the less enthusiastic I become with regards to democracy. The more I watch how elections go, how people are chosen, and the media helps in the packaging, and how the media helps in the packaging, covers this up and uncovers that, makes a mountain out of a molehill and makes a mountain the size of a molehill, keeps shifting and shaping the perception of the common man of the package. And common man with half a brain, a little smarter than a retarded person, common man with half a brain eventually decides that which package he likes better. And even the common man with a common understanding, when recently, last 50 years, when they go to vote, they themselves admit that they had to hold their nose because the smell coming out of that package is so deafening, it's so revolting, that they had to hold their nose and vote for X or Y. And both sides do it. And both sides have to hold their nose. I'm sorry, if the option is between having 5 to 9 intellectual members of society rule for life, I don't care, I don't give a fuck, they let them rule for life. If they are intellectual, if they understand, they have to find the problems and solve the problems properly. If they understand that much and they have the attestment of their peers that they're human inside. Here's the thing. Let's, for example, this is what I'm saying, that this hierarchical form of leadership may be better. Because between this president, what they call president of China, which is one member of that 5 or 9 member upper chamber that they have, at least those 5 or 9 other people in that chamber, they have spent hours with this motherfucker. So they choose this motherfucker because they have spent hours with him. So their understanding of this one is a little more than the understanding of common man of this one. So maybe election at the local level makes some kind of sense. Okay, people of the street gather and let's elect, the head of our street. Then maybe it's understandable that these heads get together, heads of different streets of city block, get together and choose the head of the block. And then the heads of these blocks of a city get together and choose the head of, their representative in, their head in the state, at the state level. So this may be doable because, at least the people who vote for this, the one above them, at least they have an idea, maybe. They live in the same street, so maybe they have an idea what the fuck this guy is all about because they live in the same street with him. At least they have some idea. Then having all the common man vote for a person who they've never seen. 99.999% of the population never see in person the president of, United States. 99.999%. Or president of India, or the prime minister of India. But again, that's what I'm thinking, that parliamentary system seems to be a little more digestible, acceptable, this parliamentary system, because the people of a group are only allowed to choose the one representing them, and then the people of the upper group has the right to represent who's above them. So by the time you get to the prime minister, it's not the common folks in the street that picks the prime minister, but the chamber, that 5, 6, 700 people who are inside there, or half of them who are in the majority, they have an understanding of each other as a group, who's who they have spent time with each other. At least they get to pick one of their own. So when Mitt Romney passes by George Santos and tells him that, dude, you don't belong here, yeah, he's right. But if the United States was parliamentary, he wouldn't have been there. Because it just doesn't happen. One group, one layer can only choose the representative to the next layer, and all the people in the next layer can choose the representative for the next layer. Nobody allows the fucking common man in the street to vote for the very highest seat on the land directly. Let's choose the one on top. Yesterday it was a bartender who became a president for 4 years, and tomorrow is going to be a shoemaker who's going to be president for 4 years. But a very charming shoemaker and a very charming bartender. These are all charming folks. I'm sure they are. But none of them are intellectuals. None of them are proven humanitarians. None of them are known entities. Most of them are unknown entities. Just a lucky guess. It's a package you're getting, nice shiny package with a gift wrap, a nice shiny colorful gift wrap, and you don't know what's inside. Who is this president? Oh, his name is this, and he plays the saxophone, and he's very charming with the ladies. Oh, great. Qualities that one looks for in the leadership of an empire. Being charming with the ladies. Yeah, no, sorry folks, no. Too much in democracy, especially in presidential form of democracy, there's too much packaging going on. Too much packaging, and you really don't know what you're getting inside.